Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. It's Saturday, so we're going to talk about a couple books this morning. Never Fear by Scott Frost is on the list. Eating for Life by Bill Phillips. That's on the list today too. So we're going to talk about a couple books because I like to encourage people to read on Saturdays. Like to share some of the books I've read. Maybe you'll see something you want to read. Maybe it'll just inspire you to read something else. Something that you will enjoy, something that you'll learn from, because we read for entertainment, we read for enjoyment, we read for education. And this morning I'm drinking out of my Jungle Book mug for Book Saturday, and we'll just talk about some books today. First, Never Fear, a novel by Scott Frost. First one of these I've read. I believe this is the second in the series about Detective Alex DeLillo. I hadn't read the first one, and I found it okay. Not really my favorite style of books. I like the Lee Child, Brad Thor, Barry Eisler, Tom Clancy a little bit better. This was an interesting story. You got the detective, and she learns about a brother that she didn't know about, a half-brother, by finding out that he was killed, and then explores some different things as she learns about her past and about her family and so forth. So it wasn't a bad book story, just not a great one, and not one that I like as much as I like some of those other authors and some of those main characters in those other books. I'm not sure where, probably when I go to some of these sales and, you get a bag of books for $10, and I'll say, oh yeah, there's a few books I really want, so I'll get a bag. And I get those books I really want, and then there's room left in the bag. Sometimes I'll just go over and look at, the novels and such and the paperbacks and throw some in to fill up the bag, and that's where I got this. It looked like, yeah, I'll check that out and throw it in the bag. And so it was been on the shelf. And so yeah, it was okay. Not my favorite, but, not a bad read. If you like detective, type of mysteries, trying to solve that, a strong female detective lead, you might enjoy these books. The other book on the list today that I finished, read sort of recently was Eating for Life. Now, I talked about Body for Life a few weeks ago because I read Bill Phillips' Body for Life, or reread it. But I also had the Eating for Life on the shelf, so I pulled it out and read that. Very quick read because I didn't read every word and every page. And the reason is you got this first little part of the book, which tells his principles for eating. I like some of them I'm not a fan on. He's a proponent of the 6 meals a day, which used to be more popular. I ate that way for a while, a long time ago, and I just found it very difficult. Some of the meals throughout the day would just be a protein shake or a protein bar. But I don't like the 6 meals a day type eating plans so much. So I don't really follow that. I did like he talked about one of his principles was have a free day where you eat whatever you want and don't worry about it. Don't limit yourself. And I do like that because I do believe that if you starve yourself and restrict yourself and never eat some of the indulgent, wonderful foods out there, you're missing out. I mean, you watch my social media, I like burgers and different indulgent foods. I don't eat those every day, but I like that he said, have a day a week where you just don't worry about your eating plans and eat whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be the same day every week. He said, if you got a birthday coming up, make that your free day so you can have a nice dinner and birthday cake and ice cream and whatever you want. He goes, Thanksgiving is always a free day in my calendar because you eat whatever you want on Thanksgiving. So you have special things like that. He has that. So I did like that he recommended that for folks. The rest of the book, the bulk of the book, was recipes. And so it really is a cookbook with, some principles at the beginning. And so that's why I said I didn't read every page, every word. I glanced through the recipes in the cookbook, and there's some stuff in here that looked like pretty good. It'd be fun recipes to try if you wanted a cookbook. Most of them pretty healthy type meals. And then at the very end, he always includes these before and after photos of people that he's helped and their success stories, just like he did in Body for Life. So not a bad book, if you want a cookbook and some different type of recipes. I'm going to trade it off because I don't really need the cookbook on the shelf and I'm trying to pare down the library. So those are the 2 books this week. We got a novel. It wasn't a bad novel, not a great novel, but not bad. And then Eating for Life, some basic education on eating, but then the bulk of it was just a cookbook with some nice pictures of the dishes and the recipes. Those are the 2 books this week. If you think they might be something you want to read, wonderful. If not, go find something that you will enjoy or something that you do want to learn from. So much out there. We can't read all the books, so be selective and pick the ones that are best for you. But just make sure you read. If you don't, you're missing out on a wealth of entertainment, enjoyment, and education that's out there. I'm going to say hello to a couple people. Thad is here and said good morning. Thank you, Thad. I appreciate that. Dixon is here. Dixon said not enough cussing and fighting. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of cussing and fighting in the Never Fear like some of the other books. Probably some of the most cussing and fighting were the Dick Marcinko books, right? And then Dixon also said, one of my favorite food conscious books is Diet for a Small Planet, which explains about usable protein, is really informative, even if not looking to go vegetarian. I've read a few of those type of books too. I don't know if I've read that one, but there are some good reasons to eat more fruits and vegetables, not just for health, but for our planet sustainability. And one of the things I think that's just terrible, especially in this country, in the United States, is the excess waste. If we wouldn't waste so much food, it would be better for the planet and it would be better for those that are hungry. And so I think we could do better. I think all of us, whether it's, in our homes or in our restaurants and different things, we could do better to eliminate some of the waste and utilize the food we have better. And that way, I think it would be better for the planet and better for people that need food. That's just my thoughts on that. Thanks for bringing that up, Dixon. Read more, read the newsletter. I was working on an article this morning for the newsletter that will go out tomorrow. You can sign up at enjoylifesafely.com if you haven't signed up yet. Check out the free downloads there. Check out the courses there. Get on the newsletter list. More coming all the time. Got new blog posts being posted on that site now too. So more good things to read to help you stay safe, defend yourself if you have to, and be exceptional. So all that at enjoylifesafely.com. Thank you for those that are here live. Thank you for those that are watching replays. Thank you to those that are listening to the podcast. I appreciate all of you. Go out and make it a safe, satisfying, spectacular Saturday, and I'll be back to see you tomorrow.